Hi, Sanjiv.
Hi, hi. Good afternoon, everyone.
Welcome to MTW. Can we all say welcome loudly to welcome Sanjiv to MTW? One, two, three. Welcome. So we have a whole bunch of folks in from all over India here, Sanjiv, and this is your first Mumbai Tech Week. And we're so excited to be discussing the future of consumer and AI with you. But I think first the question that's on top of everybody's mind, what is AI going to do to our local grocers?
Uh, Before I come to what AI is going to do to a grocer, just tell me how many of you are from consumer goods industry in the audience? All right, a few hands. Okay, how many of you consume consumer goods? All right, that's better. It can't be a case where none of you would ever not consume consumer goods. When it comes to grocers and the impact of AI, and when you look at from a lens of e-commerce, quick commerce, modern trade, the question often arises, will the humble grocer survive? And I believe, first is, let's look at it from a societal lens. There are about 10 million grocers in the country, and that would imply, on an average, two persons engaged in the grocery, the owner and a partner and maybe one more, or a person working over there. That implies 20 million people, 5 to an household. So you're talking about 100 million people where the bread on the table comes because of the humble grocery business. So from an Indian societal need, India needs to ensure that a grocer survives. I believe today, if you look at the entire FMCG industry, about anywhere close to 75% is still general trade, which is the grocers. And my prediction is, even after 10 years, this will remain the most dominant channel. Its share will come down, but the difference will be, it will be a grocer who has adopted technology. And I'll give you a very small example, Naiyya, that in Hindustan Unilever during my days, we launched an app called Shikhar app, which has been adopted by 1.5 million retailers. The two biggest challenge for a grocer is, one is the space is limited, the second is money is very limited. And very often what they do is they stock up the wrong assortment, or in many cases they do not have the money to finance the right kind of assortment. What technology today does, and AI especially, it allows you to customize an assortment for each store. And you can, as a manufacturer, help the retailer by ensuring they have the right assortment, not based on their previous sales, but very importantly, based on the kind of shoppers and the kind of behaviors those shoppers have in the neighborhood in which the grocer has his store. And the other important bit is, thanks to technology, based on your purchases, you can seamlessly provide credit to a grocer at a cost which is competitive and allow him access to capital, which is very difficult today. So my belief is grocers will survive, they will thrive, and in India's case, it will be a grocer who would be a highly digitized grocer.
I think that is actually a very important statement you've just made there, Sanjeev, because this has been one of the big questions that I've been hearing from the audience backstage as well, that AI has an impact already in our real lives, on our real jobs. So that is a very, I think, a positive and a very optimistic outlook, and perhaps one that we would want to see play out. Now, from you wear a double hat. Like, you've obviously been an operator at scale, a leader at scale, but you're also now an investor. What are the trends that you're seeing play out from a consumer-facing perspective and how AI is impacting their decision-making on products?
Yeah. Uh, if you look at a classical consumer goods company, it's a linear value chain. It's about insights and innovation. It is about plan. It is about source. It is about make. It's about marketing. And it's about deliver. That's how the value chain works. And today, thanks to data technology, this value chain is absolutely ripe for disruption. And that disruption is happening in many pockets across the value chain. For instance, we used to do historically huge amount of market research to get insights. That's the starting point of building a great brand. Today, you can scrape the net, you can look at the search, and you can, with high degree of predictive analytics, state that a certain trend, say in the US or Korean beauty or Japanese beauty, when will it come to India, in what time frame, and what could be the size of that trend. The other important bit is things where you would do trials which would take you months and a few years sometimes to test a product, to keep changing and refining the mix. Today you could simulate it. So your innovation time comes down from years to sometime to weeks. That's the big shift happening as far as insight and innovation is concerned. Then when you look at the classical chain, today we are talking about, instead of a linear chain, having an ecosystem of consumer, a customer shopper, operations with marketing center stage. Just to give you an idea, for instance, planning. Very often you would see either a consumer goods company having more stock or they are out of stock. Technology will enable you to be in a situation where instead of optimizing between capacity and inventory, you would use information to manufacture today what you sold yesterday. The other important bit is adopting digital technologies when it comes to manufacturing. Yeah. HUL was the first company in the country where it had the lighthouse manufacturing, which was recognized by the World Economic Forum. And today they have moved to lights out factory. Lights out factory means the factory is completely dark, you don't need a light, it keeps running on its own. And when it comes to sourcing, just look at it. When you're sourcing commodities, whether it is tea, whether it is coffee, whether it is palm oil, today you can use technology to predict the weather patterns. You can predict the demand patterns. You can decide based on technology when to buy, how to buy, and what quantum to buy, which would completely change the economics of your value chain. And when we are talking about marketing, we always used to say that we don't know, only 50% of the spend works, but we don't know which 50%. Today, technology allows you to not only have personalized content, targeted content, but very importantly, spend and attribution to growth you can bring in. Market mix modeling, which at a D-average level was extremely difficult without AI, today makes it extremely easy to do. And the more data you have, the more refined the model will be, the more precision the model would become, and it would completely change the way you spend, and you again create your own value chain. And look at the delivery. Thanks to, say, the Shikhar app, the classical model of the goods moving physically from the manufacturer to the distributor to the retailer has changed now. Because if a retailer can place an order whenever they want, you need to have an ecosystem to deliver the goods whenever they want. So the physical flow of goods moves in a different fashion, though the order-taking pattern still moves through the distributor. So the entire value chain of FMCG is moving from a linear to an ecosystem.
I mean, thank you. That's extremely, I think you've laid out the entire chain and you've talked about the specific disruptions that are happening in each part of this ecosystem. But then that also begs the question, and going back to the first piece, Sanjiv, everybody's talking about how AI is going to create new jobs. It requires us as humans to have a whole set of new skills. Because clearly, we're also seeing today AI make obsolete many roles. So if you were to take a future forward step, what would those new roles and skills be from an FMCG paradigm?
Sure. You know, if you look back through the era of industrial revolution, when the steam engine came in, when the internal combustion engine came in, when internet came in, when Industry 4.0 came in, every time the fear was that it will result in a huge loss of jobs. And the reality is that the loss of jobs do happen. Just to give you an idea, when we digitize the factory, the productivity of labor goes up by 30%, which is another way of saying that you lose huge number of jobs. 30% of the jobs go away. That's the reality. But I think what every generation of industrial revolution does is creates more economic wealth, which results in more jobs, but different jobs. So I think the most important thing would be is skilling, reskilling, and upskilling of our population. And the use of technology, the adoption of AI has to start not just after you finish your education, but I believe from the school days itself. And as a nation, one of the biggest things the nation would have to do is train the people, skill the people for the new world which is emerging at a rapid pace. That would become the #1 challenge for the country. Is it doable? I look at a huge opportunity. Just think of it, in another few years, 1 in 5 working age person will be in India. Yeah? We could be providing talent to the entire world, provided we provide them with the kind of skills which are required for the new age.
So, help us get a little bit granular, because I think you've made some really important points there, and points, bluntly, I also resonate with. But, a couple of examples that come up in terms of new jobs that get created right now, right? There is a AI responsibility officer, so responsible AI officer. There is actually a human/AI authentication officer. These are all new roles that are being created as we speak. Are there any specific roles such as these that you see play out from an FMCG paradigm?
Sure. First is, you may not be adept at cloud engineering, or you may not be adept at, say, high-end coding. But I think every person who is today engaged in working needs to learn prompt engineering. That's so important. Because you may not be able to create an AI algorithm, but you need to be good in using AI. That's the first fundamental thing. The second important bit is, you're right, there is going to be the other side of AI, which is misinformation, which is biases creeping into the model. So you will need new kind of jobs where you help filter the misinformation, ensure that the biases in algorithms don't exist or are removed, and will lead to an ethical AI. That will be very critical. But I think very importantly, the ability to harness data, the ability to create new systems, that would be big, huge requirement of jobs. I remember during our days when I used to lead a HUL, we had a head of technology be on my top table. And if you were to look at the entire ecosystem of HUL and we look at data scientists, it would run into over 100. And that's the kind of new jobs that would be coming in. But we have to start training our STEM graduates into the right kind of jobs which are required by the industry, and very importantly, upskill everyone on how to use AI.
Very interesting. In my new company, Sanjiv, we're doing a lot of, like our entire design process is actually driven through Stable Diffusion. And, I'm curious to know, will there ever be a paradigm where you launch a product end to end in market based on the back of a model, based on the back of everything done through AI? When do you think that's going to come to be?
You know, I think, I personally feel AI is still far away from replacing human intuition. Intuitive thinking, which comes from huge amount of experience, huge amount of knowledge, huge amount of understanding human behavior. At the end of the day, great marketeer understands human behavior very intimately. So AI won't replace, but AI will definitely supplement human intelligence and intuition.
One other trend I want to talk about before I get into a few questions on your investor profile, Sanjiv, is this whole thing around there is so much marketing material and brand material that's now created by AI that we're hearing of consumers say that I prefer the lo-fi version, which is that I want it to be created by humans. I want the errors, I want the mistakes, I want the thumbprints on the photos that only humans make and do when they create material like this. Are there examples of that you see play out?
You are so right. If I have to look at some of the big trends shaping Indian consumers, one of them is search for authenticity. Yeah? While all of us are attached to the gadgets, we still crave for that human interaction. We still crave for products which are natural, which have no nasties. We still crave for that human touch, for that emotional touch. That's never going to go away. And you're absolutely right. The search for authenticity, it manifests in many different ways. But that's a secular trend which is bound to remain, even become more stronger.
In the paradigm of AI.
Absolutely.
Now, coming a little bit onto the new role, not so new actually, but newer role rather, that you've been playing, that of an investor. How are you using AI in making some of your investment decisions? And the reason I ask this is because we talk a lot about the data sets and the pattern recognition that most investors have followed in making future forward investing decisions. And there can be biases that come in because of there being a certain pattern of founders who have done well. How are you looking at it using AI, and how are you looking at it differently?
Yeah. First is the JV that we have created with Catterton is primarily focused on consumers. So that's my sweet spot, and that's what I understand most. But if you look at the investment journey, this entire private equity journey, it starts with identifying where you want to invest. Then you look at identifying what could be your potential investee or portfolio company. Then you decide the timing of investment and how much to invest. Then it is the classical creation of value. And the value is what I described, how technology will reshape value creation. And the last is determining when to exit. That's the whole value chain of private equity. And if you really look at it, technology will impact every bit. First is identifying where do you want to invest? What are going to be the trends? Where do you think the market is shaping up? That, again, your AI is going to play a big role. And it is going to cut time and cost dramatically. Second is identifying companies and doing due diligence. Due diligence used to take huge amount of time and money. That will cut down dramatically, and you would be able to zero in These are the potential assets that we can zero in on. Again, technology, AI will help you immensely. Then it is all about the timing of investments, where you can again see the patterns, where you can again see what would be the growth of the industry, when do you get in, and then you would create value. And again, using technology, you would determine what would be the most fertile time to exit the portfolio. So I believe AI will have a big impact on the entire chain of investing. From identifying categories where you want to invest, to the timing of exit and creating value.
At what time do you think you would say human intervention supersedes the AI recommendation?
I still believe that we won't become idle. Let's place it this way. And we'll require different skills. We'll require more higher order skills. AI can't replace human creativity in its entirety. AI can't replace that emotional touch which makes your people walk on water for you. AI won't be able to help you inspire the soldiers to go and give their life for the nation. Yeah? You will require human beings, and I believe as a country, we should embrace technology with the confidence that they will not replace human beings, but they will help human beings become better and more efficient.
Well said, well said. Time is up. I want to open it up for 2 questions, but before I do that, I do have one last question to ask you. With the hindsight you've had on FMCG across global markets in India, and now with your investor hat on, we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience. I remember asking them the last fireside I did, what is that one maybe space or sector that you are extremely excited about that nobody has really cracked in India and should look at from a consumer lens?
Naiyya, the question that you are asking me is a kind of question people used to ask me when we created that huge market cap of $60 billion in Hindustan Unilever. Tell me one thing which helped you create that market cap. And in reality, it's never one thing. Yeah, it is series of things. If you do well, results in creation of huge value. Yeah, seldom one thing. And the wonderful bit about a country is there is no category which is anywhere close to maturity. But if there is one thing I would want, and with all you youngsters over here, people who have embraced technology, who are interested in technology, how do we make India into a product nation? We can't just be a service provider. We can't just be adopting technology which has been created by someone else in the world. Yeah? We have to become a product nation. We have to go up the value chain. And that is when we will be able to realize the potential that stares at India.
And just to close on that loop, we were chatting offline and backstage. And I think we share a core belief that today's generation of entrepreneurs are in the best place to build globally defining brands for India and from India. I think the brands bit we were discussing.
Oh, absolutely. My last, if I may leave a sentence with you, there's never been a better time to be young, and there has never been a better time to be young and be an Indian.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So we have time for 2 questions. And there's one right up front. Could somebody please hand the gentleman the mic? Okay, 1 question.
Oh,
You want the mic?
No.
He can't.
What's your name?
My name is Harsh Srinivas. I'm an architect and data scientist.
Look at the audience. Come and stand here. No, sir.
It's fine.
Yeah, they want to see you.
Okay.
Come, tell.
So my question is, in the FMCG ecosystem that you're talking about, what is the one part that has not automated by AI but can be fully automated by AI, which has the capability to be fully automated by AI, so that we can explore the opportunities in that part of the ecosystem that you're talking about?
You know what, he's asking a question, a very pertinent question. What is that part in the value chain of FMCG which has not yet been automated but can be automated? Yeah? Basically, my answer to you is, if everything were to be automated, then you won't require human beings. Yeah? And creation of brands requires data, requires huge amount of insights, requires a deep understanding of human behavior, requires a great amount of science to create products which meets the unmet needs of the consumers. I don't believe everything could be automated. There will be human intervention at each stage, and we have to look at how do you augment human intervention with better data and analytics rather than leaving it to a machine to do that. That won't develop great products or great ideas or meet the needs of consumers.
Great. Sorry, my friend, we're out of time. Backstage team is
offline.
telling us we're done.
All right? Or
Thank
you
you.
can always send me a question on email, sanjiv.mehta@lcatterton.com. Okay?
Thanks. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Sanjiv. It was a pleasure. Thank you.